Yeah, and this game was pretty ugly tonight for the start for the Sacramento Kings. Not really offensively. They did some great things offensively, some really nice things, but even that to me wasn't completely perfect tonight. They still put 137 on the board. You're taking on a Pistons team that came into tonight with the worst record in the NBA, playing without Cade Cunningham, playing without the girth and the beef of Isaiah Stewart.
Right.
No Sadiq Bey. Even with those guys, they're not very good. So you're looking at the end of this homestand thinking, oh, this is a good chance for the Kings to just put the hammer down, take care of business, and get this win. But, man, did the Pistons come out firing. Morgan, let's start with the bad tonight.
Okay.
We're going to get to the good, and there's a lot of good, including that final 3 minutes of the game. It was pretty sexy stuff. What was happening with the Kings' defense tonight? The Pistons, one of the lowest scoring teams in the NBA, one of the worst shooting teams in the NBA, were red hot. They put 70 points up on the Kings in the first half.
I'll say this. I started the pregame show on NBC with Jaden Ivy. He's so explosive to the rim. Make sure you're going under screens, right? You don't want to fight over them. He's not. Yes, thank you. It's not like he's knocking down all of his threes. He was perfect from three-point land tonight, and it wasn't only him. That was the issue. It was everybody, which there's going to be nights teams just find their rhythm. They're on fire. But at the same time, you still got to look at, well, what's not happening for the Kings? Yeah. The intensity level. There's so many more breakdowns. The perimeter pressure wasn't there at times. And when Boyan was getting some line drives there in that first half, I was like, oh, hell no.
Yeah. Jaden Ivy had a couple awesome step backs on Metu. Got the switch he wanted and went, all right, step back, 3-ball in your face. And unfortunately, we've had to talk about this a lot over the years when the Kings play opponents. We're like, hey, they might be a bad shooting team, but if you leave NBA players open and you let them get comfortable, they're going to shoot threes.
Sure.
Mike Brown, after the game, was kind of talking about the defense, saying our approach tonight wasn't the best. Like, we have to be ready from shoot around on. Like, we can't come into the games and just play defense in the final few minutes of the game. They came up with some big stops late. You just can't let it get to this point. A night like tonight, you can escape because the Pistons aren't a good team and you have the talent, you've got the firepower. You can't play like this against the elite teams in the NBA.
No, because you know exactly how this game would have turned out if it was one of the elite teams. It would have been a blowout by an elite team, especially if it was one of those games where all of their shots are falling and the Kings' shots weren't falling to start. And I was liking the way that they started this game, even going to Sabonis. Sabonis was battling up against the former King Marvin Bagley, going to work. And you and I talked about it before this game. He needs to go to work in the paint. The girth isn't there in the paint tonight for the Pistons, and they're not a very good team.
You said
girth. But they pushed back on that statement that we had for them, and they said, we're still going to do what we need to do. And they did a good job battling, fighting down low, and then I think that helped their confidence on the offensive end as well.
Yeah, the defense to me, it's just, we know it's flawed. I would say going into tonight, though, a couple of things that jumped out to me. Over the last 10 games, they were near the top of the NBA in offensive rating, but they were 17th in defensive rating. And I feel like we've seen some strides from the Kings over this stretch of good defense. It's not like consistent. I mean, if you're consistent, you're one of the top teams in the league. But it's been good enough because this offense has been able to carry them a long, long way. This was kind of a step back to me defensively. And I don't know, do you overlook a little bit? Are you paying too much attention to the scouting reports, which is, hey, Killian Hayes is shooting 20-something% from three. Killian Hayes, if he's open, is going to knock down a three. He's wide open.
He's been knocking down threes the last couple of games, too.
The closeouts have to be better. And you mentioned some of the straight line drives. I felt like they did a good job of getting in the paint, making some things happen. You guys give open looks, it's going to work out. I mean, even when Corey Joseph got it going in the fourth, by the way, this was going to be my worst nightmare. I felt like Bagley started to get something going a little bit in the fourth, and Joseph.
Yes.
I'm not kidding you. I had a brief moment that I was like, if Bagley hits a game winner tonight, Night Chat is canceled until further notice.
Well,
I was not going to be able to handle that. I know. I was off. I was going to be off.
Bye.
I would need to go to therapy. I needed to really think about this. But yeah, and I think the other thing too, defensively, when they go small, and this is again one theme that I've seen early in the season. When Sabonis is in foul trouble, it's just a completely different team, right?
It's true. Their identity changes
during this stretch. it's like he hasn't been in foul trouble as much. Some of this tonight, I didn't think the officiating was great.
No.
I thought Mark Davis and his crew, I don't know, did they go out last night? Did they put a couple? It was an early game. You stay up late, early game. Maybe you're
nice.
Morgan, how many late whistles did you hear tonight?
It was bad.
7 to 15, something like that?
Yeah, around that.
It wasn't all against the Kings either. I'm
No.
just saying, in general.
Yeah.
But Sabonis in foul trouble, it just gets him out of rhythm, takes him out of his game, and all of a sudden the Kings have to go to their bench. And tonight, who was a big-time impact player for the Pistons? Jalen Duren was amazing tonight. And he's built, the guy's 19 years old. He's so raw. But the freak athleticism, it seemed like he was getting every second chance opportunity. He was destroying the Kings.
Yeah, and that was the issue, right? It was the way he was battling out there. And we were watching a Pistons game a few nights earlier just to see what they were going to bring. And you saw Duren was very chaotic, right? He's young. He still has a lot to learn. But tonight, he looked a little bit more under control. He looked like he was out there to dominate in his role, and he did a fantastic job dominating the boards, especially late there against, guys like Sabonis, or even when Sabonis wasn't out. But you just going back really quick, too, to some of those Sabonis calls, because it's going to happen. Officiating is going to be off at nights, and you're going to get calls that shouldn't be there. It can be deflating. It's how you come out of it. I'm not saying it's easy, because also you do have to change your game. You want to stay and remain aggressive, but also take 2 steps back on the physicality, because they're obviously calling everything on you. So it changes your game. It changes the entire team's game when Sabonis gets in that foul trouble.
Sabonis ends up playing just under 34 minutes, 15 points, 13 rebounds, 7 dimes for him in this game. I mentioned Duren. He came off the bench in 27 minutes at 12 points, 8 rebounds, 5 of those 8 offensive rebounds for him. Also, a couple of goaltendings that really hurt the Pistons, too. He's just
chaotic, like I said.
He is very chaotic,
Still
but he's
raw.
19. He's very
That's
raw.
what I'm saying, yeah.
So that was some of the bad. Also, I thought Jaden Ivy Ivy looked really good in this game tonight. He was comfortable. He's knocking down his shots. He gets in a rhythm, very crafty. He finished with 24 points on 8 of 14 shooting. You mentioned it. He made all 4 of his threes.
Dude, and not only do you have to understand his explosive first step and what he's capable of being that force going to the basket, but then when he becomes a threat from the outside and actually starts hitting them, and he's hitting them tonight on an efficient level, that was really tough for the Kings, because then at that point you're like, okay, how do I guard this guy? And yeah, he's just going to get better and better. He is a rookie right now, and good for him and the Pistons.
This is another game that I look at where last year's team or previous Kings teams don't win this game. They fold under the pressure. They're getting punched around, and once they go up 124, 119 with a few minutes to play, there felt like there was some nervous energy in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Previous Kings teams, they fold. But Kevin Huerter and De'Aaron Fox took over this game. De'Aaron Fox went MJF on him, said, I'm better than you, and you know it. I wrote this note down, and we'll dive into all aspects of the game too.
Yeah.
I wrote a note down. It was 124, 119. Pistons are up. It was after Bagley's free throws. Kevin Huerter steal, gets it to Fox, and Fox went into, I'm going downhill on you. I'm taking it all the way, and I'm giving you a flashback moment. This is like my rookie year, and I'm dunking it home. He cut the lead to 3 then. The Kings end up closing on a 16-5 run. Why that was so important, why I wrote that down, it's because he went with authority. It was a moment of, hey, guys, we need to wake the F up, because I'm not trying to have this potential 6-game win streak come to an end to the Pistons. He went right down, and he dunked that shit hard. Like,
I thought at first he was just going to be like, okay, let me see how I can roll around Jaden Ivy, who was the one that was getting back and backpedaling. And instead he said, F this, and just threw that shit down. And I think everyone felt that all to our cores. And it was such a great moment, because I think a little bit before that, Deuce, Malik Monk tried having that moment when he got the steal and one, and then got the tech right after. It was those chaotic moments for Monks that were still the deflating factors, right? We're still things like, man, we were almost there, but then we weren't. But with that De'Aaron Fox, the steal from Huerter, pass up, Fox throwing it down, absolutely momentum shifter.
It cut to 3. The end result was the Kings closing on a 16-5 run. Also after that, that's when Kevin Huerter got going. Kevin Huerter had 13 points in the quarter. 11 of those points came in the final 3:23 of the game. He had some tough looks that came out early. That guy has been so tremendous for the Kings. And we could talk about the shooting because the shooting was big tonight, but it's everything with him. He's such a good, does a great job playing without the ball, setting good screens to free up other shooters on the team. He's always moving. He was huge tonight, hitting some big time shots.
It was great to see him have those moments because there was times early on when some of those threes were rattling in and out, not only for him, but for so many other of the Kings players. I was like, okay, maybe this isn't going to be their shooting night, but for him to make whatever adjustments he needed to make with his game, his confidence, and shift that into these shots are going in. It was beautiful. And the fact that they can depend on him from the outside and De'Aaron Fox on the inside, you just have guys on this squad that can contribute in these big moments.
So Fox finished the game with 33 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. He also had that jumper late that was clutch. It was a big-time jumper. It ended up being a 7-0 run for the Kings at that point. That was pretty much the game. He had a big-time shot there. Huerter finishes with 24 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. How about that dime he had to Harrison Barnes for the dunk?
Oh my God. You're seeing his passing ability. He's crafty. I feel like in so many different ways, Kevin Huerter was underrated coming to Sacramento. And we've talked about this so many times because he was more of a catch and shoot guy. You had Trae Young, who was the one that was capable of creating. But why not utilize these type of players to the fullest? And that's what you're seeing being done in Sacramento with Kevin Huerter's play.
He was big time.
Big time.
Now we got to give love to a guy that has been playing well after a slow start.
HB?
Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes
Deserves all the love.
27 points tonight.
Let's go.
9 rebounds, 3 assists, 8 of 11 shooting. But he also got to the free throw line 11 times. I thought he was crucial for the Kings tonight. He got them off to a nice start. He was aggressive, looking for his. He saw the matchup and went, I'm attacking it. He got to the free throw line. There were so many times where I felt like the game was kind of in the balance, right? Mm-hmm. Like the Pistons were playing with a lot of confidence. They're knocking down more shots than they have probably in the last 3 games combined. They're feeling good about themselves. All of a sudden, HB gets the rock and attacks. He was 10 of 11 from the free throw line in this game, and he was tremendous.
He was. It was so aggressive, and he also had some of those big moments, not only some of these plays where he was driving and the foul was getting called, Deuce. He has this a lot in a lot of games lately, where he gets big rebounds, where they're just boards that he battles for or that make a difference in the game. They're just crucial rebounds, crucial moments for him. And he's not only doing that, he's playing so smart right now. I feel like he's playing with patience. He's playing with understanding of what's around him. He's playing like the guy that we have seen before in those consistent times. And now you just can only hope that this can continue consistently, which I believe it can. The only reason why it was ever stopped before in years past was because an injury would come up and then he would have to find his rhythm again, get back into it. So I'm just hoping he can stay healthy, remain this type of player, understand you're not going to have a night like this every single night, but if you can contribute in all those categories on the other nights, that's why you're so valuable as a wing player.
Morgan, this is the first time the Kings have won 6 in a row since January 2005.
I know. We've been talking about this all night. In 2005, you said junior in high school? Wow.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Wow.
I know you guys played. I thought you guys had a video on the pre or post game show about.
We did. I
know you put the clip out, but Morgan actually had a picture of her at on the court, of course. Hey, send a picture from 05, and you sent one of you balling.
Yeah, well, what else was I doing in 05? I was going to school and playing basketball, AAU traveling, or playing in high school. So I didn't have much of a life except playing basketball, and I loved every second of it. What were you doing?
What is it? January 2005.
I just need to know, really.
I mean, probably a variety of things, Morgan. Probably trying to, probably avoiding trouble the best I can.
Okay, good answer.
Looking
That's
for, hey, can I smoke out of this apple or not?
all. No, stop.
I was writing for the school newspaper.
Is that Smirnoff? Can I get some Smirnoff?